Okay, shall we?
Sure.
All right, it's 7:02. Welcome everybody to a historic event, the first Zoom meeting of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to read an opening statement regarding this ZBA meeting because it is the first of its kind. I have confirmed with the ZBA Council that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order 202.1, which suspends certain provisions of the Open Meetings Law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing, and the Governor's Executive Order 202.38, which extends such suspension until July 6, 2020. As such, there is no in-person meeting for the ZBA, and this meeting is being conducted via Zoom video conferencing. In accordance with these executive orders, the public has been provided with the ability to view tonight's public meeting via Zoom or to watch a live stream of the meeting on the town's webpage. In further accordance with the executive order, a transcript will be made at a later date. The meeting's agenda has been duly noticed on the town's webpage, which notice was accompanied by information as to how to access and view this meeting. And next, I'd like to extend my thanks to our secretary, Chris Hedges, who's done a terrific job in a very difficult situation, working to keep the board business moving forward as the circumstances allowed. I'd like to thank Fred Shequin for his help in making this Zoom meeting possible, and for hosting a couple of meetings to help us get prepared for this. And I'd like to thank the members of the board for their cooperation. Everybody's been great. Learning the new technology, which for some of us is harder or easier depending on the person. So everybody's put in extra time and effort. And finally, and well, last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank our counsel, Kim Garrison and John Lyons, for their guidance and help through getting through this difficult time and being able to get to the people's business here, even though we can't meet in the town hall. So now I just to make sure that we have a quorum, which I know we have, but I just want to make sure and have it on the record. I'd like to do a roll call. So Tim Allenbrook, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Catherine Clark? Present? I see you.
She's on mute.
You unmute. Yeah, you have to unmute.
Now you can hear me.
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Great.
Dave Tobias
Yes.
and Tim Econopouli, are you here?
Yes.
All right. So we have all members and we have our council. And so let the record show that we do have a quorum, and we'll begin with the first item on the agenda. First item on the agenda are the meeting minutes from the last meeting, which, believe it or not, was February 19th of this year. I assume everybody's had a chance to take a look at the meeting minutes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, any corrections, concerns, comments? Okay, hearing none, I make a motion to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so the meeting minutes carry. All right. Now, the first order of business for this evening, we have 4 new items of new business. And the first matter that's on is case number 997, the Fox matter. And who is here for that application? Is that you, Dawn?
Me, yep. My name is Dawn Santiago. I'm here representing Christina Ducharme Architecture for our clients at 232 Morton Road. We are asking for a area variance in the amount of 147 square feet for accessory structures. We plan on a little bit about the project. We plan on renovating the existing 1-story guest cottage, which is currently being used for storage, into a 2-story studio and tractor barn. The intent is to keep the existing foundations the first floor exterior walls and then add a second floor above that to house a new studio for the owner. Additionally, we intend to demolish the existing large overhang at the front of the building and in place have a smaller footprint of entrance pergola.
Okay, and I see that in the application,
Mhm.
that there is there are photographs showing the existing structure.
Yes.
Do you have any renderings, and I may have missed it, it may be in there, showing what the proposed structure is going to look like?
We have elevations in the drawings, but we do not have a rendering at this time. We're actually looking to do that for the second submission to the public hearing at the planning board, which we're currently also in as well. So
Okay.
if we have a public hearing for this, we should have those as well first.
Okay, and I always like to get renderings. I want to see what the structure is going to look like afterwards, because
Mhm.
you know, part of the 5-prong test is that you have to see if it meshes with the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. So it's important that we be able to see what the structure look like. So
Of course.
as assuming we accept the application, I'd make as a condition of acceptance that renderings showing how the structure is going to look be provided before the public hearing in sufficient time so that the public has an opportunity to take a look at it. We have to take a look at it.
Those are in process, so we should be getting those hopefully early July.
Okay. All right, it's a pretty simple application in my mind, but do any of the board members have any questions or concerns after reviewing the application as to what the applicant wishes to do?
Scott, I actually have a question for the applicant.
Okay.
So the variance is based on the aggregate area for all accessory structures. I think is the 1,665, is that the total aggregate for all the accessory structures?
Yes, that's the aggregate for a garden shed and another shed, and then this building with the second floor.
And do you have just out of curiosity, what's the aggregate for the proposal?
I believe, let me just double check if it's on the plans. Sorry, 1 second, I'm just looking at my computer.
Yeah, take your time.
The existing storage building, the floor print of it was 591 square feet. The second floor will be additional 591 square feet.
Thank you.
In one of the older letters, there was a note about demolition of the structure originally planned and approved. Well, am I completely out of date?
That's something that we're dealing with as a site plan review, a special
Okay.
permit review with the planning board right now. Originally, this building was supposed to be demolished as part of a special permit, and we are trying to go over with the planning board and get approval to keep this building and build a second story on top of it.
Okay.
What was the special permit that was granted before? Do you know that?
I believe that was in 2011. It was before my office was part of this project. The special permit was to build, I believe, an addition to the main house. And as part of that, they were supposed to remove this guest cottage.
Yeah, and I was actually around that time, even though it's almost 10 years ago, and that sounds about right. But we can actually, Chris, maybe if you can pull the old file so we can see what we did the last time around. But I think that's accurate. Anybody else have any questions, concerns about the application?
No, for me, just the renderings that you mentioned
Right.
would be important.
Yeah, I think the application's complete, that in my mind, but I just want to get input from everybody else. Everybody else comfortable with it, except for the fact that we do need those renderings. And Chris, I would like, if you could, just to see if you can pull that 2011 application That was a pretty substantial renovation, as I recollect, to the house.
I do believe it was a large garage, I believe, and second story above in
Yep.
addition.
I think the thing to get, Chris, is there should be a planning board decision granting the special use permit that'll have the conditions attached to that. And I think that if you can circulate that to the board, we should be in good shape next time.
And we had
Great.
our meeting Monday for that, and they accepted our application and put us for public hearing on, I believe, on August 3rd.
That's the planning board, just for the record, correct?
Yep. Exactly, correct.
All right, at this time, I'd make a motion that we accept the application, subject to having the additional information we've discussed. Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Can I make a suggestion just
Sure.
for the purposes of conducting the meeting on Zoom? If we could do a roll call vote on the votes,
Okay.
I think that'd be good for the recording.
All right. So I'm yay. Tim,
Yay.
Oh, two Tim.
Catherine,
Two Tims.
Yes.
Dave,
Yay.
and the other Tim.
Yay.
Okay, I think we got them all. All right, keep reminding me, John. This is new territory. Okay, so Chris, when's the next public hearing?
July 15th.
Okay, are you able to make it on July 15th?
Yes.
Okay. So you know the process. You need to supply that information that you can supply.
And when is when's the deadline to submit that information before the meeting?
It's 2 weeks before. So let's see. The 29th, June 29th, it looks like, or is that Sunday? Yeah, Monday, June 29th.
Okay. All
Is
right.
that doable?
I hope so. So we're going to try to get those renderings done as soon as possible.
Okay,
If not, I'll be in touch with Chris and let her know.
all right.
I have a quick question. Do we have a dependency on the public hearing and some approval from the planning board before we can proceed with ours?
Not
I don't-
really. Oh, sorry, Catherine. I was just going to say that I think we can do the reviews in parallel. Kim will tell you a little bit later that we'll be relying on the planning board to do the seeker review. We just can't issue a decision, an approval, if that's where the board goes, until the seeker review has been brought to the point of completion.
Okay.
Right. And if there's a delay, we'll just continue the meeting, the public meeting being open, and wait for the planning board to get the determination.
Okay, thank you.
This is
Okay.
Tim Allenbrook here. Just going back one second to the renderings. Are you also going to include floor plans?
We have floor plans and elevations already submitted.
Okay, they didn't get into my package, but
Yeah.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see you on July 15th.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have a little housekeeping with regard to this application. First of all, who would like to be assigned to this application? Do I have any volunteers?
I'll take it.
Okay, so Dave has it. And John, you were saying, and references made on our little cheat sheets here, that the lead agency should be the planning board?
Yes.
Okay. And they've agreed to do that?
I think they're already doing it in connection with the special use permit and the site plan review.
Okay, so we don't have to deal with that issue then.
Yeah, I think Chris, maybe if you could check prior to the next, the July 15th zoning board of appeals meeting, and if I would suspect by then it's likely that the planning board has issued a negative declaration for this application over there. And if they can just provide a copy of that to us, then we'll incorporate it into our record.
Got it.
Okay, and the only two referrals that I see are obviously to the planning board and to the WAC. Is that accurate?
Yep, it's in the LWRP, so it should be referred to the WAC.
Okay. All right, have I missed anything, or can we go on to the next application?
I think we're good.
I think we covered it. Okay, great.
Yep.
Well,
I
that
just
was
want
the-
to say one other thing, Scott, to
Sure.
Tim. Hey, Tim, in your packet, there's a PDF that's called site plan, and the elevations and floor plans are in that set.
I'm a Luddite. I was working off of paper.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know what that is.
I'm sure I have an extra, Tim. I can provide it to you.
Not to worry. As long as this exists.
Okay, well, congratulations to us. We navigated our first new application on Zoom. All right, so the next one, since we did such a great job, the next one is the Baptist home. Is there somebody on for the Baptist home for that application?
Yes, my name is Patrick Roberts at Optimus Architecture, and I'm representing the Baptist home.
Welcome.
How are you? Thank you. Let me just introduce this particular project. This is actually a sign variance that we're seeking, two variances. It's variance 1 for the area variance of 19.5 square feet. They're looking at replacing their monument sign out on Route 308, maintaining the existing stone base below, but changing the sign. The sign being replaced is essentially the same sign we are proposing, but a slightly different shape. It's square versus the round top. And the area is 27.5 square feet per side. It's a double-sided sign. 13.75 for one side, 27.5 for both. And the difference from the 8 square feet allowed is 19.5. That's the variance we're seeking. The other variance we're seeking is for the percentage of letter cover on the sign. The code indicates that there's a 60% coverage of lettering on the sign. Doing some calculations, it appears that we are at 61% letter coverage versus the 60. So we'd be seeking a 1% variance. Though I did put on the plans, you may have noticed that depending on how you calculate the lettering, there's a strip of area that is below the word Brookmead and their logo, and then the 4 buildings that they're intending to show on this sign. And if that is not included, that would be a 55% coverage, which would be below the maximum allowed by the town. But again, this is a monument sign that essentially exists on the entrance to their 25-acre site. And just a little bit of background, as Brookmead is completing a series of new projects that they had been approved and they're wrapping up this year. They're updating their corporate standards as far as their coloring and their wayfinding, and to bring into the fold of the Brookmead project, the new building that's there is called the Pavilion, and they want to add that to the sign. Well, instead of adding it to the existing sign that is there, they're proposing of changing it out now to show the 4 main buildings on their site, which of course is going to be the Baptist home, to be renamed the Meadows, the Terraces, Arbor Ridge, and now the Pavilion. And also on our application, we had indicated 2 photo integrated renderings with the help of Timely Signs. They're the sign company doing the work, or proposed to do the work. And they gave a rendering of the proposed sign integrated onto the photos of the existing stone monument. And that is actually on our application.
Right. Mr. Roberts, can you put that up? Because I see both of them next to each other on your application, and thank you for that.
You're welcome. I don't have that electronically that I can post
Okay,
there that.
I do, I think.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yep. Let me
Yep,
just-
it's on sheet
3, right?
3.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's right.
100.
it's the top picture.
Yep.
Is it showing up okay? Do I need to
Not yet.
move it?
There we go. Is there any way
Perfect.
to zoom in and that's really good because it's in color and it shows.
Oh, maybe I need to hit the plus sign, huh?
The plus sign's always good.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought I was the only one that did that.
Size matters. That's good.
Is this where
Right.
you want to be looking, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that to me, that's just looking through the application. That just basically boils it right down to what the application is. You know, just the change in the sign kind of shape. It
Mhm.
actually, and I don't know, Mr. Roberts, is it about the same size or maybe even a little bit smaller than the existing sign, or is it just de minimis?
Well, it's about the same size. If you look at drawing panel 52, which is there in the lower right of the screenshot
Yep.
there, you actually see a side-by-side comparison of the existing Brookmead sign, which is 5'6" by 2'6". 2'6" goes to the crown of the arc, where we're proposing to now make that a square sign. So there's a little bit more area in that it's now a square sign versus the round top, but it's also bringing into the fold the fourth building that is nearing completion within the next few weeks.
I have a quick question. Is there's a lighting associated with this, with the signs?
No proposed change of lighting. The existing
Okay.
lighting that's out there is proposed to remain.
And that's what I was asking. Okay, so
Yes.
we don't have to worry about any lighting or any of that kind of stuff.
No, the strict difference here is the actual panel sign that you see there.
Gotcha.
And then the color renderings, of course, shows the shape of the lettering, the size of the lettering, and then the orientation of the different building designations.
Yeah, visually, it looks like the new sign. You can see Brookmead a little bit easier if you're traveling on 308
But
than comparing to the old sign.
yeah, conversely, you cannot see the names of the 4 buildings as well.
Right. Of course, then they'd need a really big variance.
Then they,
Yes.
All right. To me, the application is complete, and I don't need anything more. I mean, I think it's pretty simple. But I defer to my board members. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, things that they need to help decide this application? Additional stuff? Anybody?
One question I would like to propose, though, is there any guidance on whether you think a variance is required for the percentage of lettering based on the calculations I did?
Well, it's
You
probably
mean
not
based
a
on
bad
the
idea to
1%?
have.
Yes, 1%. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask for it, and then we have it.
Correct.
Right.
May I say something, Scott? There was a recent determination letter from the ZEO. I believe it was dated April 30th that did include the 1%. So it does seem like that she has made that determination that a variance is required for that.
Okay.
And I apologize if you happen to hear any barking. There's a couple of large chocolate labs running around outside, so hopefully you don't hear that. All right. Any other board members have any questions, concerns, anything? All right. Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we accept the application. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, who seconded? Is that, which Tim?
Tim
Alan
Economic.
Brook.
All right, Chris, pick one.
Oh, Jesus. Don't do that to me. Tim Econopoulos. Sorry, Tim.
Okay.
So, all right, and all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Wanna- wanna
Opposed?
Do a roll call?
And I'm going to do a roll call. Okay. Tim Allenbrook, yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Dave Tobias,
Yes.
Catherine Clark,
Yes.
Tim Kanapuli.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? And I'm yes.
I was just gonna say, I think yourself, but
And myself. Okay, let's see. Mr. Roberts, can you be available on July 15th, which is our next meeting date for a public hearing?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. We'll see you then, because I don't think you need to supply us with anything else. It's
Okay.
complete.
Excellent. Yeah. So there's no deadline within 2 weeks to do any further submission.
No, I don't. We didn't. Unlike the first application, we don't need anything else. It's
Good.
pretty self-evident and pretty complete.
Great. Now, July 15th, will that be a virtual or in person?
You know, I don't know. It probably virtual. But,
I
we'll
think
see.
the chances are that it's going to be virtual.
Yeah.
Okay.
we'll provide any updates on the website.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Congratulations on another successful application tonight.
We're on a roll.
Yeah.
Seeker.
All right. So now we need to make a secret determination. The recommendation is that this is a type 2 action under 617.5 C22, which is the installation of traffic control devices on existing streets, roads, and highways. And this also includes the installation of signs. That sounds about right. John, do you want me to? I think what we usually do is we do make a motion to say that the application is a type 2 under that section. So I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Catherine, yay or nay?
Yes.
Tim Akonapuli?
Yes.
Me, yes. Tim Allenbrook?
Yes.
And Dave Tobias?
Yes.
Okay. And it looks like the referrals that have to be made are to the Rhinebeck Planning Board, as always, and Dutchess County Planning, just because it's so close to 308.
And it's a non-residential use. So
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
excluded.
Okay. Any other? Okay, so Chris, you'll take care of those referrals?
Yes.
All right. Who would like to deal with this resolution, deal with this application?
I'll
Have
do
any-
it. Tim Economopoulos?
Okay. All right, so I think that, Kim, John, I think we're done.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Like-
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the next one we have is the Dunn matter. Is there somebody here for the Dunn case?
Yes, that's me, Michelle Harrington. Hi, everyone.
Hi, and
Hello.
Lee Frizzell is here
Welcome.
also.
My name is Michelle Harrington. I'm with Chestnut Street Design, speaking on behalf of Griffin Dunn. Just a brief description of the project. We are seeking zoning board approvals for 2 area variances in regard to the conversion of a portion of an existing barn from storage to a 2-bedroom accessory dwelling located on a 71-acre parcel at 16 Bullenbecker Road. The variances we are seeking approvals for relate to an area variance locating the accessory dwelling in front of the principal dwelling. And the second area variance we're seeking approvals for is an additional 1,400 square feet for the accessory dwelling, which is within the existing footprint of the barn. Oops, Scott, I think you're muted.
Got your mute. Oh, I can maybe unmute him.
Okay, I'm back on.
There you go.
I'm going to go in and out just because there's a lot of barking going on. I apologize for that. So anyway, Ms. Harrington, can you take us through the application?
Sure. If I'm not sure who's controlling the Zoom, if someone wants to zoom in. Hi, Kim. If you want to zoom in on the blue proposed 2-bedroom guest, yeah, right there. So that area right there, that's the existing barn, which is right now used for storage that we're looking to convert. And everything that's happening within the barn is within the existing footprint and the existing roof of the current structure. The really only large modifications have to do with the new well and septic system. But other than that, everything's remaining within that footprint. And really quickly, just to orient everyone, the principal dwelling is at the northeast corner of the map here. Yeah, right up there.
Okay. So there's no change on the footprint. I'm
No.
sorry if I didn't, none whatsoever.
Correct. No change.
Okay. And you've given us rendering showing what the, what it's going to look like. I know that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
Do any of the board members have any questions, concerns about the application?
Should we be asking for floor plans? I sound like a broken record, but is there?
Doesn't hurt if they're not in here, but I'm trying to see if.
Yeah, we didn't submit floor plans, but I have them, so that's easy
Okay.
to send over.
Great.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
by
so you
the
have
way,
the elevations
by
and
the-
the renderings.
Yeah, I just provided exterior renderings and elevations, and then I did a side-by-side of the existing and proposed.
Yeah.
But I can provide interiors as well if needed.
Michelle, do you happen to have that available? I don't have that on my file.
Yeah, I have it available. I'm not sure if I can share the screen and bring it up easily. It may be best if I can consolidate them all and send them in one package.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, broken record number 2 here. I'm looking at wells and septic. So I see the well at the main house. I see the approximate existing septic field for the main house. I see a proposed septic tank for the 2-bedroom.
Yes, and the leach field, if you go southwest, Kim, if you could just scroll out a little bit, it follows an existing accessory roadway, goes down that culvert and into an existing corralled area, which is where the leach field is.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I saw the well just northeast of the barn, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other board members have any questions, concerns, requests for additional information on the application?
Is there a variance request on here for the aggregate accessory buildings? With all these other buildings, it's like we might need one for that.
There was not in the initial request, but
Catherine, I believe that the other buildings are agricultural buildings, and that aggregate limit
Doesn't
doesn't
count.
apply for agricultural buildings.
Okay.
It's a good question. All right. To me, the application is pretty complete and subject to the floor plans being delivered, which I'm sure will be done in a timely fashion. I would make a motion to accept the application. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Catherine Clark. And I am a yes on accepting the application. Dave?
Yes.
Tim A?
Yes.
Tim E?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Okay. So the application has been accepted. And are you able to make it on July 15th?
yeah, I can do that.
Okay, great. And if you can get that additional information, that'd be great too.
Sure, yep.
And so we'll see you on the 15th.
Great, thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Before
Great.
you sign off,
Sure.
Michelle, I don't know whether you, Scott, you wanted to talk about site visits at this juncture. I can't remember whether we talked about site visits for the first two applications.
We
but
did
I
not
just
talk
wanted-
about site visits with the first two. We can talk about it now, or let me,
At the end of the meeting, but I
Yeah,
didn't know whether you wanted to bring that up
who
for
should we
this
contact to
application
coordinate that?
You can contact me directly and I can
Okay.
speak with Griffin on that.
Sometimes we come out before the public hearing, sometimes we come out afterwards. So
Okay.
just when we get people together.
Sure.
I will, I think it's my turn, so I'll take this one. All right, so you'll hear from us and get us that information. We'll see you on the 15th.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And John and Kim, I saw that the ZBA or has the planning board already taken the lead on the seeker determination and what's going on there?
Yeah, we'll confirm that, but again, it is a simultaneous application, and typically the planning board does take lead agency. We'll just confirm that.
I'm more than happy to allow them to do that and concede that, so.
And Chris, again, when you're checking before the July 15th meeting, if they have issued a determination of significance by then, if we could get a copy, that would be great.
Absolutely.
And the only referral is to the planning board. So I think that takes care of that application. John, Kim, anything else?
I'm good.
You're
Oh,
good?
Yep, everything looks good.
Had enough? All right. Okay, the last piece of new business is the Patel application. And Mr. Stone, are you here for that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Why don't you
Okay. I just unmuted. Okay. So
just briefly tell us what the application is.
Okay. This is an appeal of a determination by the zoning administrator that no building permit, no site plan approval, no special permit was required for the construction, reconstruction, dismantling and reconstruction of the sanitary sewer system on the neighboring property. The work constitutes, it was estimated in court that the work would require $275,000 worth of effort. It involves the carting which is, we believe, again, we believe this work's unauthorized. We brought it to the attention of the zoning administrator, who initially issued a stop work order and then decided to undo the stop work order and tell them to go ahead and do their work. There is an extant stop work order by the Department of Health. We think in our application, there's, I guess, 8 bullet points about what we think is misguided in the opinion of the zoning administrator, and that we think you should review and reverse.
Okay. Again, just reviewing what's been submitted, I don't have a problem with, I mean, I think, I don't have anything else that I require, but I want my board members to weigh in on it. And John and Kim, especially since this is not the usual application, and it's not the usual situation, I'd like your opinion on it as well.
Well, would you like the board to go first?
Yeah, sure, have the board, or either or, I don't care. John?
Yep, I'm just I'm refreshing my recollection. But I think that there's a narrative which is very helpful. There's mapping and documentation attached, which I think will be good for all of the board members and for Kim and I. So I don't have anything additional to request at the moment, subject to correction by Kim, but.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Scott, I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, but I think everything is fine. I do, just for the boards, I do have a little map, although it's not loading up. Well, if I can get the map up, hopefully, there it goes. Just to show where the properties are, just people may know this. The blue is the Patel's property. The red is the adjoining neighbor Garden Homes. And Mr. Stone, if you have anything you'd like to point out or on this map, I can.
Just to orient Kim just to orient the board members. So that intersection that's at the very top of the photograph is the intersection of routes 9 and 9G. And so, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
No, I was just saying that's Rugi's auto dealership.
You got Rugi's and you got the mobile station, then the empty lot.
Yeah, this is Rugi.
And some of the board members may be familiar with Gordon Homes was in before the board seeking a variance. It's a few years ago, I think now, to move one of the pads for one of the mobile homes further onto their property or to cure an encroachment.
Right, and if I recall correctly, I mean, I was around for that, but it was a while ago. Wasn't there also a replacement of a very old and dilapidated mobile home with something newer?
Yes.
Yeah, I think with a manufactured home, perhaps.
Right. So there were a couple of things.
And where is the source of the problem?
Maybe Mr. Stone, you can.
Sure. The source of the problem was on the parcel, the 933-227 parcel.
Right.
Where that adjoins the Patel property, there were two outflows, I think later reduced to one outflow from a sand filter system, which disposed of partially treated sewage onto Mr. Patel's property, and eventually it drained into the Rhinebeck Kill. It's been the subject of litigation now for over 10 years. They were finally directed to stop trespassing on his property, and in order to do that, they are rerouting their system down through their property out to Route 9 and along Route 9 over to the Rhinebeck Kill. So in the course of doing that, we just want them to do it in an aesthetically pleasing way, compliant with the law, and it really has kind of just sped ahead without any kind of controls, and that's the nature of our appeal.
Was there any approval process for the work that is supposed to be done there? I mean, who reviewed the project and approved it?
Well,
Mr. Stone?
My understanding is that it came in, we learned from the planning board that there was a preliminary submission made in the summer of 2019, and it was decided at that time that they need not get any approval from the town, which we think is incorrect. They must get approval of the Department of Health, Department of Transportation, and the DEC, all of those agencies, and it seems anomalous that they would need those approvals, yet it goes under the radar with the town.
Right.
So is the work going on now, or?
The work began in or about January or February. It was a stop work order was issued by the Department of Health. And I believe, I don't know the exact timing, I believe immediately after that by the town of Rhinebeck, but that order was lifted. We don't know why.
But the Department of Health stop work order is still in place?
To our knowledge, that remains in effect, and they have yet to obtain approval of the department, the DOT, to run the line under Route 9. That remains pending. I believe the DEC now has acted upon it and said it's okay to pipe the flow.
So, Mr. Stone, where will it, where will the piping that'll be on the west side of Route 9, that's going to be running over properties owned by other people? Has that been, the permissions for that been obtained? Do you know?
Well, my understanding, sir, is that they're getting a permission to run it under the right of way from the New York State DOT. So they'll not need private approvals. There's a 6-foot right of way, I believe, next to the road that they're going to get a license from the DOT to
Okay.
dig under and put the pipe under there.
And where's the discharge point then to the Rhinebeck Hill?
It'll be at the culvert that goes where the Rhinebeck Hill goes underneath Route 9.
Okay.
And can you see that on this map at all? Is there?
If you can make out the stream in the middle of the property, it would be follow the stream. That's where it would be.
Which property? The
I'm sorry, the 940-267. The stream runs 50 to 60 feet away from the boundary line, and that was always a bone of contention because it was pooling, it was causing flooding and pooling on Mr. Patel's property. And it was, we believe the permit was granted under the premise that the discharge was going right into the stream when it really wasn't.
Is this the stream? This where my I didn't get a wetlands map. Sorry.
I think you just were closer to it. I believe it's closer to where the 507.8 is written. I believe that's the approximate area of the stream. It comes from under 9G, enters the Patel property, and then exits under Route 9.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns?
Yeah, I have one. So I guess I'm kind of confused. Where is the outflow from the proposed outflow in this map?
Oh, well, there's a concrete culvert where it will discharge under Route 9. We were not involved in that approval. They had to get the DOT approval to install the discharge at that point into the stream.
Now, is that the lot underneath 912250?
No, it's under, it's adjoining lot 9, the Patel property, 940267.
Okay.
Approximately midpoint on
So,
the boundary with 9.
So, Mr. Stone, the culvert is somewhere near that notation about the measurement of frontage, that 507.8. The culvert would be somewhere in that area?
That's my belief. I've been to the property a couple times, but it's been a couple of years too. So
Okay.
it's approximately in that area.
I think, sorry, I think Fred said that he might have a Google Maps. I'm just asking if Fred would like to, maybe that has the.
Oh, that's better.
Oh, okay. Sure, the stream is drawn the blue line.
Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So does the pipe work follow 9G north? Or I mean, excuse me, Route 9 up to the stream? Is that what you're saying?
That's their plan.
And it's going to follow the Route 9 up.
Yeah, kind of like eastbound, I guess it would be.
I guess north and east.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they finish this work, the outflow will start beyond Mr. Patel's property, right?
Exactly. But at the moment, what they're doing is excavating on the boundary of the Patel property. They've installed a bin block wall. They're doing, you know, they're doing major, because they have to remove a building, a chlorination shed there. So we're interested in having them comply, and it does affect the wetlands. So that's a good shot too.
Now, you were saying that DEC approved the work?
I'm sorry. So if you see that patch on the end of where the L-shaped driveway is, that patch is where the sand filter system is right now, where the arrow is.
Mhm.
And it's along the edge of that sand filter system where they're doing construction right now. Well, it's been stopped at the moment.
So, one question. So where that sand filter is, that's the existing system. So from that sand filter system, is that going right up to Route 9 across?
No, it's going to go back. Well, right now it's discharging onto the Patel property.
Mhm.
Okay, they were directed to stop those discharges. So in order to do that, it's going to be piped underneath the roadbed on the Garden Homes property out to Route 9, and then across Route 9 to the stream.
So is that right on the border between you and them?
Well, again, they're going to redirect. They're going to, instead of the flow going north or northeast into the Patel property, it's now going to travel south and west underneath their road on their property.
Mhm.
All right, so that's how they get access to the roadway, to Route 9.
And then it'll go out to 9.
So it's basically, it goes, is it follow that roadway from, it comes down, I guess it would be westbound, and then kind of goes northbound, and then ultimately reaches Route 9, and then
Right.
goes northeast-ish, so to speak, till you get to the basin or whatever.
That's my understanding.
Right. And DOT's given approval, but obviously Department of Health is not on board, as they've done the stop work order at this point.
That's correct. The DEC has approved. The DOT has not approved it yet.
Oh, they have not?
No, to our knowledge, as of this date. We get very limited information, though.
Okay. Any other agencies that you know of who have been involved?
That's those 3, sir. That's
Okay.
my understanding.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I just have one question, if I may. I'm just looking. Mr. Stone, is the Department of Health's stop work order part of the package?
I don't think.
If it's not,
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Oh, it's Exhibit C,
Okay, great. Thank you.
dated February 26th to the 2020.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? All right. Hearing none, and based upon what the board members and our council have expressed so far, I'll make a motion that we accept the application. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is that Timmy?
Timmy.
Timmy. All right. I'm in favor. Who else is in favor? If you could just, okay, so Catherine Clark, could you say your name?
Yes, yes.
Tim A?
Yeah.
David?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And no one is opposed. All right, the application's been approved. Well, you know the process, Mr. Stone. we'll take a look at it and start digging into it. I presume we'll be on for the next public hearing on July 15th. Is that something you can make?
Certainly.
Okay.
Thank
you very much thank you for the explanation to this ongoing
freezing
problem.
as the screen's freezing a little.
Yeah. We got the gist of it.
Yes, I can.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. That does it for the new business. John, is there anything else?
Well, Scott, if you could just make a motion to classify this as an unlisted action or as a type 2
type
action.
2.
Yeah,
Type 2.
pursuant to seeker. That's our last item on this.
Okay. I'll make that motion. I do not have my cheat sheet in front of me, so I will adopt that.
Under 617.5C37, type 2 action includes interpretation of existing code.
Okay, so I make a motion that we deem it to come under that section of seeker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Catherine Clark. All those in favor? Tim E?
Yes.
Okay. Tim A?
Yep.
Catherine?
Yes.
Me, yes. And David?
Yes.
Okay. All
And
right, next.
just as we had mentioned before, if the board would like to come onto Mr. Patel's property for a site visit, that can also, if we want to discuss that or just ask who to contact.
Mr. Stone, I presume you're the contact person?
Certainly.
Okay.
Yes, I'd be happy to arrange that.
Okay. Great, thank you. We'll see you on the 15th.
Thank you.
All right.
Scott, did you sign the resolution for that?
For,
Patel?
Sometimes with interpretations, depending on it, it might be done by Grant and Lyons.
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
Yeah, and actually, that is kind of our policy and procedure that we get counsel's help because it does involve, legal issues. So. All right, the next case is, that we're into the public hearings. There's two. The first is Old Primrose, and Darren, you're here for that?
I am, yes.
And is there anybody who is on the Zoom here who is interested in that application?
Yes,
Okay. You are? Okay.
Doug Westcott.
What we'll do is what we've done in the past when we have everybody in the same room is the applicant's representative will go forward and say again what the application is about. And then if you like, you have the opportunity to question the applicant about any concerns that you have, any information you would like. And if you could just, before asking those questions, just state your name and your address, and then address those questions to the applicant's representative. So why don't you start off going over the application with us, and then we'll take questions from the public.
Excuse me, Scott. I'm going to recuse myself due to potential conflict of interest. So.
Thank you, Tim.
Yes.
All right, and Kim, do you have the site plan that you can bring up for that?
Yes, for some reason well, let me just actually do this. The site plan. Hold on one second.
Problem.
Is that the right one, Darren?
Yeah, that'll work. everything we're talking about is an existing structure, so they're all on whatever sheet you bring up. So this one's perfectly fine. So to start off, I'm Darren Davidowich with the Art of Building, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Old Primrose LLC, who is the property owner here. And we're talking about 6 Old Primrose Hill Road, which is a parcel that's located on the north end of Old Primrose Hill at the point where it's closest to Ackert Hook Road. Old Primrose runs into Primrose Hill Road on both ends, and we're talking about the end nearest to Ackert Hook Road, which would be the next road up from this, from Old Primrose Hill Road. And what we've got is a 6.5 acre parcel with a number of existing structures on it. There is a main house, it's called 2-story house on the plan there, if you look at the screen to the right. And that is 2,428 square feet in size. And then you have what's labeled on there as barn, and that's actually probably more accurately called a garage. It's a 2-car garage, and that is 520 square feet in size. And then what's labeled at the end of the stone driveway as shed is just a small, actually just a shed, 182 square feet in size. And then if we shift over to the left, great, so we're moving sort of west on Old Primrose Hill Road here. There's another structure, the crosshatched barn proposed for conversion to detached accessory dwelling is the crosshatched building there. And that is an existing barn. It's actually 1,750 square feet in size the way it sits today. And then just for way of orientation, there's a timber frame pergola behind it. And then if you move a little bit further north, there's a swimming pool with a pool deck around it. To the left of the pool there, there's a generator and some pool equipment. So those look like structures, but they're a generator and the pool equipment. And then if you were to move, you know, sort of through and past the pool, there's an existing concrete slab all the way in the backside there. And that's exactly what that is. It's just a ruin of a former, we're told, a coop, a chicken coop of some sort that was there at one time. Right now, it's just a deteriorated concrete slab. Our clients have actually put some planter boxes on it and made it a vegetable garden as they're hiding out from COVID here upstate. So if we move back down to the crosshatched building, that's actually the subject of why we're here tonight. As I mentioned, 1,750 square feet, and we're proposing it for conversion to a detached accessory dwelling. In fact, we've received approval from the planning board to convert it to a 2-bedroom detached accessory dwelling, which will serve a dual purpose of both that and a pool house. The proximity to the pool is very nice. You can share the kitchen from that building with people using the pool. So it works really well in the summer months as a pool house or cabana, but really per the zoning in Rhinebeck, we're calling it a detached accessory dwelling because it is intended to have 2 bedrooms and be self-contained with a kitchen and bathroom so that you could live in it as a dwelling. And the subject of the variance is simply that the Town of Rhinebeck ordinance allows 900 square feet for detached accessory dwellings. And we are proposing an adaptive reuse of a building that's much larger than that. So we have a 1,750 square foot building. We're allowed 900 square feet for a detached accessory dwelling. So we're looking at a variance so that we can utilize a little bit more of the square footage for the intended use of the barn. We're proposing 1,200 square feet, so an increase of 300 above what the town ordinance allows. But at 1,200 square feet, that does still involve stripping away 550 square feet of the building. And to accomplish that, what we're proposing is to strip away a section of the second floor so that the 2 bedrooms go on the second floor. The main level is living, dining, that type of thing. And we create a lofted space from below. So above the living area, you'd have a 2-story section, and then above, you know, for, well, the kitchen area and a portion of the first floor, you'd only have a 1-story condition. And there are floor plans in our submission package, which we can certainly bring up, as well as photographs of all the buildings, including this one.
I apologize. It's been a long time, and the structure we're talking about is the red barn that's shown in the photographs.
Yeah, the big red barn, the biggest of the red barn. The garage and the shed are also red, but this is, you know, quite a bit larger than the other two.
Yeah, the big red barn.
Yeah.
Did I just, I was trying to share it. Is the red barn on the screen now?
No.
No. Oh, maybe I didn't do it right.
There's a sheet that has 6 photographs, which I think shows it pretty well.
Yeah. Do I need to stop sharing my screen to get another one in? I guess so. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, the 6th one. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Hold on 1 second.
My question was going to be, is there going to be any change to the outside of the building?
There are changes, not in terms of adding any area to it, but in terms of the windows, the siding, the roof. You know, the structure is the same size, but it does get to look a little bit more. There's just more windows being added. Basically, it still looks very much like a barn.
So what you see here, and that thanks, Kim. That's exactly what I was looking at. It's gonna, at the end of the day, it's gonna look just like this, except for maybe some more windows, that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not increasing the exterior footprint of it at all.
Right.
And there are renderings of what the exterior will look like in the package as well. But this does a good job of showing all 4 sides plus some of the barn.
By the way, would I speak to you about a site inspection on this?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. It's I think it's my resolution to deal with, so I'll take the lead on coordinating with you on that.
Yeah, no problem. Any day really works, so we can pretty much access it at any time.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions before I open it up to the public?
There you go. Those are the proposed elevations that you're looking at there. So just quickly, elevation 1 is what you'd see from Old Primrose Hill Road. Elevation 3 is what you'd see if from the house, essentially looking up the hill at it from the main house. And then if you just, it should
that work?
There you go. That worked.
Oh, I'm learning.
Shaking it seems to work. There you go. And then elevation 2 is the side you'd look at from the pool. The concept here is that there are 3 large French doors that open out so that you can have this nice indoor-outdoor experience. Makes it nice and easy to go in and out from the pool. Lots of light, lots of nice views of the pool. And then elevation 4 is the elevation you would see from the driveway. This building has its own driveway in existence. So this would be, if I was coming in from the west side, this is what I would be looking at.
Okay, board members, questions? Okay, since I haven't heard any at this point, I'd like to open it up to the public. I believe there was a person on the meeting who had some questions, concerns.
I'm Doug Westcott. I live at
Welcome.
517 Ackertook Road, which is 2 properties over from the building in question. I have a couple of concerns. 5 years ago, this building was leaning and the roof was way back. So I don't know that this is a structurally sound building. Number 2 is they put a pergola on in a swimming pool a year ago, and as far as I could ever see, they never displayed a building permit. Was that permitted or what?
Well, I'll answer them in that order. So the building must have been stabilized a little bit since the time where you said the roof was way back. It's in much better condition today, but our construction plan does involve quite a bit of structural repair to the barn. The barn was actually in existence somewhere else and brought to the property. and reassembled.
I've been here for 30 years and have never seen it moved.
Yeah, no, longer than that. But it was a barn that was relocated to the site and reassembled at the site. I know there were some renovations done to it by the prior owner who used it to store building materials and boats and motorcycles and things. But our plan does involve quite a bit of rebuilding the structure, or I would say more sistering up and strengthening and adding all kinds of things to give it the proper code requirements as a residence. So with wind load and snow load and everything else have been factored into our plans, as is insulation, and then whatever is necessary to incorporate more windows and doors and things like that. So we've had a structural engineer work on it, architects work on it, and pending the outcome of this meeting, considering we have approval from the planning board on it already, we're in a position to submit a building permit pretty quickly, post zoning board resolution, and that would all be part of that package. The pool and the generator and the pergola that was constructed all were permitted, and there was a building permit displayed in the window of this barn. Granted, it's pretty far up from the road, but there was a building permit laminated. It's actually still there in that building right now.
And if my notes serve me correctly, I think the testimony was 1,000 years ago, the last time you met, was that this was moved from the Mills Mansion in the 1940s. And it's actually it's a late 1800s kind of construction.
Right.
Does that comport with your recollection?
It does. That's the opinion of the town's historic committee, who came out and actually spent quite a bit of time in the building. And that was what they figured out to be the case. So yeah, about 1940. So it's quite a long time ago that it was moved here.
I'm sure it was, oh, here it is right here.
Yeah, there's I don't have the actual letter that the town historic committee wrote, but they read it at the planning board meeting. It was pretty thorough and interesting. For whatever reason, they just haven't sent me a copy.
Yeah, no, I was actually thinking about the planning board letter to us dated March 4th, 2020, which I received, and where they indicate that there's no significant planning or environmental concerns, and asked us to rely on the zoning code. So, are there any other questions, concerns, anything else?
Does Mr. Westcott have anything further?
Yeah. Well, Mr. Westcott, have your questions been answered to your satisfaction?
Yes.
Is there anyone else here who's on for this application? Okay, board members, last chance. Any questions, concerns?
Not at this time.
No.
Okay, so not hearing any, and I see that we did get a response back from the planning board. I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so Catherine, I think, was first on the second. Put her down for that. And I'll go through, say yay or nay. David?
Yes.
Okay, me, yes. Catherine?
Yes.
Tim A?
Yes.
Timmy? Or Timmy's out.
Recused.
He's recused. Okay, so carried by the 4. The public hearing is closed. We have 62 days to render a decision. I'll be authoring the resolution. I'll be giving you a call to do a site inspection. I'll coordinate with my board members to come out, take a look around, and that's about it.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Next is Smith and Tannery Place.
And
Mark, you're
Scott,
here on that?
Yes, I am.
And I believe Tim E. will be back. He has.
And Timmy has returned.
I have returned.
Okay, let the record
Scott-
reflect that Timmy has returned.
Scott, also, Michael Berg, the architect, should also be available, as with Mike Walsh with Walcott Builders, and the owner, Roger Smith, I think are all here.
Okay. And I see everybody's on. So we've been through this process many times. Why don't you take it away and explain to the public, if there's anybody here for the application, just exactly what is being proposed. I know that there's been a slight change in the plan from the last time around, and if you could explain that.
Sure. Kim, if you could, is it possible for you to bring up the site plan?
Yes, let me just, oh, am I muted? No, I'm not. Okay. Let me just grab it.
While Kim's doing that, I'll note that we met with the planning board Monday evening. And so this is a simultaneous application with the planning board and the zoning board of appeals, and had our public hearing with the planning board. Application to the planning board is for site plan special permit, and the consideration for the site plan and special permit is, and just for a recap for this board, because it's been a while since we discussed the project. It's an existing residential property located on the west side of New York State Route 308, and I guess also the west side of Pilgrim's Progress Road. The total property size is approximately, it's a little more than 15 acres in size. There are, multiple structures located on the property. And what you can't see right now on this plan, you're seeing an overall view of the property, but one of the important factors and reasons that we're in front of the planning board and zoning board of appeals, there are multiple accessory structures that exist on the property. And in the the lower left-hand corner of the site plan is a summary of those existing accessory structures. And since there's multiple structures, I've both in this table and also throughout the site plan, I've just numbered them, for ease of identification. And as as I said, the majority of the accessory structures exist. The one new accessory structure that's being presented in this project is an attached garage. And I know that I won't belabor that point, that it's just a section of the Rhinebeck Code that requires, even though it's an attached garage and it's going to be attached to the existing residence, it's still defined as an accessory structure. And so that is located on the north side of the existing residence. And you can see that here, it's defined as accessory structure number 2. And then also when you look at the overall site plan, you can see from that the access to this property is from New York State Route 308. And what you're seeing now is just the terminus of the access, where there's a circle and it goes to the west of accessory structure number 1, which is a stable, loops around and then back, and then you can head back to Route 308. Off of that, you can see it's in a bolder a line. It's the proposed drive. So obviously that proposed drive attaches to that new garage addition, and that'll be attached to the residence, along with some living space that's associated with it. And then finally, as I said before, the existing the remaining existing accessory structures are shown on the plan. There are a total of 5. So I'll just quickly summarize. Accessory structure number 1, which I pointed out, that was an agricultural building with an apartment above it. So it's actually split between residential and agricultural. So in the table, it identifies that. And so our application to this board only deals with the residential component of that. Accessory structure number 2 is the attached garage. Accessory structure number 3 is the shed adjacent to the new garage addition. Accessory structure number 4 is to the north of the pool, and that's number 4, and it's also identified as the red barn. And then the final accessory structure number 5 is a woodshed that's located northeast of that red barn. And so the specific application being made to this board is for, so there's allowed 900 square feet of floor area for an accessory structure. So the accessory structure number 1 and accessory structure number 4 are in excess of that. And so in part of the zoning administrator's letter regarding the determination for this, an area variance of 536 square feet for the accessory structure dwelling in the stable, which is number 1, is so we're requesting 536 square feet. The area variance for the red barn requesting 3,173 square feet. Obviously, so these are this is the amount in excess of 900 square feet. And then finally, because the aggregate floor area for accessory structures on a residential property is 1,500 square feet, we are in excess of that. So we are in excess the amount. And Scott, this is where the minor change was.
Right.
It was, and Michael Bird can speak to this when he'll be able to discuss the architecture related to, well, for the entire site. It's related to accessory structure number 2. From the initial application to this board till now, it was actually reduced by 183 square feet. And that's the only change to the application. So Michelle originally had it at 5,570 square feet. So that's 5,570, and you subtract 183 from that. So now the request for total aggregate floor area for accessory structures is 5,387 square feet. I'll also note that I know this board, you're also limited to typically on a residential property 3 accessory structures. In this case, the code states that if the residential property is greater than 10 acres, that the request for additional accessory structures is by application to the planning board, and that application is a request for a special permit. So that the total number of accessory structures is being addressed in an application to the planning board. I just note that.
Okay.
That's my overview. And maybe Michael, do you want to take over to have some discussion about the garage and also the red barn?
Sure. Can you pull up our proposed site plan, which is sheet A1 dated 5/15/20?
You're muted, Kim.
Well, while she's doing that,
And I'm sorry, before you start, Michael, what sheet did you want me to try to look for?
sheet A1, it's the proposed site plan dated 5/15.
A1.
Since our initial application, we've made some modifications to the design. Whereas we originally had covered porches on both the east and west side of the proposed garage area, we've eliminated those. In addition, we pulled the guest suite now completely within the existing structure, and therefore only a portion of a bathroom on the second floor is in the addition of the garage. But I can go over that more specifically when we can see the drawings. Essentially, on the first floor, we have a mudroom, a laundry room, a closet, and a storage room, and a two-car garage. And on the second floor, we have a guest suite that occupies 2 former bedrooms, and then a full bath for that guest suite.
Michael, I'm just going to it's not labeled on my thing, so I apologize. I think
Okay.
I can just go through
Maybe,
them.
yeah, okay. So that's the previous submission.
Oh, the new one. Okay, let's see. I see. Okay, let me get the new one up then. Do I have the new one up?
They look pretty similar. There's not that much difference between the two. So.
This is what I have. I don't have much, I don't see anything else really connected to it. This was the only thing I received.
I'm just trying to see if I can share.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing and then see if you can.
You have to bear with me. You'll have to let me know if you can see that.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm partially showing you this because we are proposing some minor changes to the existing driveway. As Mark pointed out, it's a circle drive. It's really one lane. So if someone parks in the middle of the circle, there's no way to get around them without backing out. So we're proposing to widen the driveway in this area just so that if someone's parked, another car can get around them. So this will be the new pathway to the back door. As I said, that's where the mudroom, storage, laundry room area is. This is the proposed new driveway up to the access to the overhead doors to get in. There's a 5-foot grade elevation change between the slab of the garage and the first floor of the house. We felt it was important not to have the overhead doors facing east, to hide those as much as possible. And that's why We've got the slab at that elevation to deal with the change of grade as you go up the hill in the northerly direction. And then I'll go to the give me a minute and
Love you too, Scott. Take a look at your mug.
I know, you like that? And one nice thing about having this at home is that my daughter just delivered me hot chocolate.
Oh.
And I love you too, Tim.
Can everybody see the first floor proposed plan?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So the lines in red show where the existing building currently exists, and that will be the areas that is removed. So that's a colonnade on the north end of the building. We're going to come in with our new pathway and back door into a portion of that. We have the mud room, a coat room, a laundry room, and a storage room directly adjacent to the kitchen and breakfast room, and then the 2-car garage. Are you still seeing this?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
second
Yes.
floor? I've never done this before, so. So upstairs, you see, again, the red lines indicate the walls that are being removed. So there was a bedroom in this location, a bedroom in this location, and a full bath here. Those
We're
walls,
not
Still
seeing,
looking at the first floor.
all right.
There we go.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay. So again, the red lines indicate the walls that are being removed. So there was a bedroom here, there was a bedroom here, and a full bath right here. Those walls that are going to be removed to create kind of a nice bedroom suite. Then we're building a full bath, as you can see, partially over the existing covered deck to the north, and then into the garage area. And then I'll show you the renderings. So the top rendering is a shot from the southeast corner of the house. This portico here is the main entrance to the front door, which is down this walkway here. This is the improved driveway and the new back door entrance portico. And then this is the wing in the back where the garage is. Down here on this rendering, you can see a better shot of that. So as I said, we've taken what we formerly had was a kind of a covered porch mimicking this one to the south that we used to have on the north, but we removed that.
And that's the extent of the changes from the original?
Well, let me just, more or less, I'll just show you the other rendering that I have here.
Okay.
This is the north elevation now, and then the west elevation. So again, these changed a little bit. We had a different roof line here, but decided just to keep the existing roof line as it is and build within the structure. So that's pretty much it for the house. On the barn, there's a this is the first floor plan of the barn proposed. Essentially, all we're really doing on the first floor is removing the spiral staircase and putting in a more traditional staircase. Everything else will pretty much stay as is. All this was here and was approved when the Ferraris owned the property and renovated this building.
Oh, and the offices being, it was prior, it was a bedroom prior and is being redone as an office.
Okay. Yeah, that was done back in 2003 or something.
And did you say, Michael, that that was approved as an accessory dwelling in 2003?
I don't have the information on that.
I'm looking it up. I have it.
And these are the changes that we're proposing for the second floor. You can see the new staircase fully in the second floor plan. Currently this wing right here, the wing to the north, is just one large open game room space. And we're proposing 2 bedrooms and bathrooms, and also this new deck that was never built, even though those doors are there. So these renderings here show you on the left, these two are what's existing. So you can see that they built a foundation for the deck and never put a deck on it. In both of those photos, and then over to the right, you can see we have a deck with a set of stairs so that when you walk out this door, you don't drop 5 feet. And then there's one more rendering I can show you of the other sides. The top one is the existing building as it is now. All these windows exist as they are. And what we're proposing to do is on the first floor where there's an exercise area. Currently there's just a regular pair of French doors. We're proposing to replace those pair with a large 16-foot wide sliding glass door. In addition, we're also adding these windows for the bedrooms, so we have egress windows and more light coming into the bedroom. Other than that, the footprint really doesn't change for the barn at all.
Any changes to the stable?
No.
When were the changes made, do you know, and supplied to the zoning board?
So for the Red Barn, Scott, there were actually 2 applications.
Okay.
One was in November of 2002, which was approved by the ZBA, and it was conversion of the barn. Studio would consist of a pool, bathroom, office space, and a sink, washing facilities, but not a kitchen. It will not be livable space nor an apartment. And that was case number 611, and that was November 26, 2002. And March 14th, 2003, convert the barn, the studio pool house previously approved, case 611, would consist of a pool, bathroom, office space, and a sink, and washing facilities, but not a kitchen. The present application requests a kitchen. So the second application was only to include a kitchen, and once again, not defined as livable space. So those were the 2. previously approved applications by the ZBA.
So part of the request to us is to approve that as a living space.
Correct. So now they're accessory dwelling units, right? So there's bedrooms there now.
Okay.
And the same, Catherine. So that's for the Red Barn, and then obviously for the stable, accessory structure number 1 is the same. And then finally, because of the accessory structure 2, the garage, it's not a living space, but the reason for the garage gets added to that is because the floor area for the garage counts as to the total floor area allowed for accessory structures. And so the final variance that we're requesting is for the aggregate floor area for the total, for the aggregate of accessory structures on the property.
Mark, any guesstimate on what that is?
What's that?
Assuming you took the garage out, what the reduction would be?
Oh, the garage. If you take the garage out, just let me go to my drawing. I have it listed. Oh, grabbing the wrong mouse. It is, so the garage is 933 square feet. Now I think, Michael, that includes some of the, does that include some of the living area or some of the, no, that's all second floor, right?
No, the total heated space was 933, which included the first floor space as well as the second floor.
Right. So if you break out the garage, did you want just the garage itself, Scott?
Yeah, I was just wondering because you and I have had this discussion before about the interpretation.
Hey, Michael, what are the rough dimensions of just the garage?
It's roughly 26 by 30.
So that's 780 square feet.
You could say maybe 26 by 26. There is some living space in the 30 foot. So 26 by 26 would be appropriate.
676 square feet.
And Mark, did you say that the apartment above the white building, I can't remember which number that is.
The stable, Catherine?
The stables, yes. The apartment above that had been approved as a living space prior?
No.
Predated, didn't it?
More than likely.
Maybe.
I think it predated.
Okay.
Right, but Catherine, if you when you look, I broke out the, for that apartment in the stable, the total floor area of the stable is almost 5,600 square feet, and only about 1,400 square feet of that is the apartment. The rest is, stable and storage.
And it's still gonna be used as agricultural, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, as I understand, I don't think there's anybody here from the public. There was the last time around. We did receive a letter, and I'm trying to find it here. Of course, I lost it. From
Scott, while you're looking, I could, because we had the meeting on Monday with the planning board, the neighbor who drafted that letter and sent it to the town was present for the public hearing with the planning board. And there was discussion at the planning board meeting, and I think he was well. I'll let Roger speak to that because Roger really.
Was it Mr. Burgess?
That's correct. It was
Mr. Burgess because he sent a letter to Chris today. It looks like.
Okay.
And anyway, he sent it. Basically, he said during he was talking about the planning board session of June 15th, and during that session, Mr. Smith allayed my concerns about any commercial activity occurring at his property.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
guess
I'm happy to address what I addressed at the planning board meeting if that's required.
I think it would be helpful, whatever you shared with them.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I mean, obviously, this is a property where one could look at it and be concerned that we might have plans to do some short-term rentals such as Airbnb or things like this. And that was Mr. Burgess's concern. My family lives in Lake Placid, New York, where there are 700 listed Airbnb properties, and where these short-term rentals are having a devastating impact on the quality of neighborhoods in this town. And it would be against all of our principles for this to happen in Rhinebeck and for us to use the property in this capacity. I've never had an Airbnb account. I'm absolutely opposed to this, and as you, I hadn't had the opportunity to present this before, but we only looked at properties that had guest houses because we aspire to have our family members come to visit us, and it's more likely they will come if there's a guest house than that they have to stay in the main house with us when they're coming with small children and so forth. And as such, we saw this property with its guest house, and this was marketed as a guest house, and the tax assessors have assessed this historically as a guest house, and rather than try to skirt the rules, it's important to us to be very transparent and clear as to how we wish to use the property and the purposes for doing so. And so when I addressed the planning board on Monday night, I described this, and I had also, I've approached all of the abutting neighbors and have also communicated with them and explained what we're intending on doing. And I think it really boils down to making this barn be officially what it is. It's right now 400 or 4,000 square feet of party space and one small bedroom. And I don't think that 4,000 square feet of party space is a positive thing to have on this property or any part of property. And hence, we hope to repurpose a large portion of that party space into the 2 bedrooms that we're proposing. So hopefully that gives a sense of what we're after. And then, of course, there is no garage space on the property, despite the fact that there's 7,000 square feet of accessory dwellings. There is no place for covered place for cars, and so that is the other thing that we are trying to address. I had no idea when I purchased the property that it would be so complicated to correct what I thought I was buying in the first place. But we really do aspire to be transparent and have the appropriate permission to do what we want to do. And Michael Bird, who lives in Rhinebeck, has known me for almost 40 years and certainly vouch for my history of how I've used properties historically and how I will, Rochelle and I will use this property in the future. So hopefully that covers it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was very helpful. I appreciate it.
My questions have all been answered. And we did do a site inspection, which was quite helpful. And thank you, Catherine, for arranging that, and Mark and the rest of the gang for leading us around and all that. But my only concern in this whole process, again, goes to transparency, is that there's been a change, slight, and in fact, one could argue there's been a reduction to a degree of what is being requested. So I'll be very candid. I'm struggling with whether we, well, I assume that I didn't hear any public or anything like that, but assuming there are no questions, concerns, et cetera.
Can we go off of screen share and open up the screen since we're talking about the public hearing portion? Great, thanks.
I don't think, just looking at the screen share here, I don't think that there's anybody here for this application other than the applicant and the applicant's representatives. Is that right?
I think there was one other comment that had come in through email from a Rose. I don't have a last name on there. Chris, I don't know if you have any more information on that. It looks like it was sent on April 17th.
Yes. She had contacted me about the planning board meeting and said she was going to attend the planning board meeting. She knew about our Zoom meeting tonight, but I haven't heard any more from her since her email, but she hasn't written back. She just was inquiring about the planning board's meeting and said that she was going to attend, but I haven't heard since.
The email was generally positive, if I recall.
Yes, would you like me to read it? I have it up.
That'd be great.
So it says, I think that improvements are a positive thing for the neighborhood and property values, so I do not really have an issue with that, as long as the structures are to code and well done. In reviewing the information, it seems like there is an awful lot of living space to be added to the property. I am not certain if the type of residency is something that is actually addressed at this sort of meeting, but is it for farm staff, for family, for Airbnb? My property is on the ridge across Pilgrim's Progress Road, and I overlook their farm. I would like to attend the May 20th meeting should it occur. I'd appreciate any information you might be able to share.
Yes, she contacted me on 6/15 in regards to the public hearing. She received two. She received the planning board and ZBA's, and just asked for clarity on what the planning board's meeting was about. So I just sent her their agenda and the zoning enforcement letter, just because of the explanation on there for the planning board, and sent her the changes as well as the Zoom invite. So I haven't heard anything from her since.
So she was aware of the changes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then the other person, Mr. Burgess, obviously, his concerns appear to have been satisfied as of last night.
Yes.
All right.
I believe Mr. Smith just now kind of explained a little bit about,
Right.
as to what the space was going to be used for.
Right.
And just typically, if there had been changes and things like that, what I would do is I would keep the public hearing open just to give the public an opportunity, even though these changes are not huge, in fact, they're arguably de minimis. I would typically keep the public hearing open just to give an opportunity for anyone else to take a look at this. But the two folks who really expressed interest in the past apparently have been satisfied. So I think I'm leaning actually the other way to, assuming none of the board members have any other questions, concerns, et cetera, to closing the public hearing. John, I don't know what your feelings are about that, but I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I think you're right. I agree with you. I think thanks to Chris's explanation, Mr. Smith's explanation, and Kim's reading Rose's comment into the record, I think we have a good understanding of what the comments were. I think Mr. Smith's explanation addressed the comment that Rose made. I think she and Mr. Burgess are really concerned about the same thing. So, and the changes are small. So I think the path is clear to be able to close the public hearing tonight.
Good. Okay. And Chris, obviously, Mr. Burgess's email will be part of the record.
Yes, absolutely. Both of them.
All right. All right. At this time, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Catherine Clark. And I'll go around the room, the Zoom room here. I'm for closing the public hearing. Tim E?
Yes.
Tim A?
Yes.
David?
Yes, sir.
Catherine?
Yes.
All right. You've accomplished a hurdle. The public hearing has been closed. We now have 62 days for Catherine, as I recollect, to write the resolution. And we'll certainly do that within the 62 days. Typically, we do it by the next meeting, although I don't want to put any pressure on Catherine, but we typically do it by the next meeting, which is July 15th. So we should have a resolution by the 15th. You do not have to attend. You're more than welcome to attend. And actually, it's a lot easier to attend now. So if you want to, I suspect we'll probably have it on for the 15th. And feel free to join us on Zoom or live, whatever we are, for that resolution.
And I would just add, Scott, that you can check in with Chris a few days before the 15th, and she'll be able to tell you for sure whether the resolution will be on the agenda for the July 15th meeting.
I'll just note our next scheduled meeting with the planning board is July 20th.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a inspiration. I don't want to speak for you, Catherine, but it would be great if we can have our decision then. That would dovetail with the planning board process.
It was a soft. My attempt at a soft sell.
Well done, Mark.
I have every.
You're so subtle, Mark.
I'm fairly certain we can manage that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Catherine.
It's a beautiful property, by the way.
Yes, it's really lovely.
Yeah.
Yep. And I also want to say thanks to Mark and Michael for great presentations. It really made it very clear, at least from my standpoint. I felt like I was able to get a very good understanding of what's happening, and especially with the complicated history here. So anyway, I appreciated that very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And Scott, I can't remember if this was discussed in the beginning. We had for seeker, did we discuss seeker? I can't remember.
We might have at the very first meeting.
Okay, so
two?
seeker, yes. So we had deferred to the planning board. I believe Chris just sent around I guess the planning board has made their determination. It is a type 2 action, so seeker is complete.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
And that brings us to our last item of the evening, and that is the resolution on Catherine Whitman. And Catherine, I think this was yours, right? Or Tim, it's yours.
Yeah, you scared me for a minute.
All right.
All right. Well, why don't you take us through it, Tim?
Okay, this is the resolution of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the area variance application of Catherine Whitman, case 994. Whereas the applicant is Catherine Whitman, referred to hereinafter as the applicant. The applicant is represented before this board by herself. Property involved. This appeal involves property located at 16 Old Post Road in the Town of Rhinebeck, bearing tax parcel number, long number. Property is 0.382 acres in area and is located in the RA10 zoning district. Description: The applicant proposes to add a new modern entry at the front of the house. The house is currently located 60.8 feet off the road and within the 150-foot front yard setback by 89.2 feet. The proposed design will require an additional 3.9 feet encroachment within the setback, resulting in a total variance of 93 feet. ZBA review, timeliness of appeal. The applicant filed an appeal with this board on December 2nd, 2019, and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of ZEO's decision. Appeal from date November 25th, 2019, and thus the application is timely as required by 125-125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning code. This application was deemed complete and accepted by the board on January 15th. Secret. After accepting this appeal, we determined that this matter should be classified as a type 2 action under State Environmental Quality Review Act, secret, because of the project involved granting of individual setback and lot line variances. No further review is required pursuant to secret. Referrals and responses. The application was referred to the Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board, the Town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board, and the Town of Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Committee on January 21st, 2020. The CAB and the WAC did not respond in writing to the ZBA referrals. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board responded on February 6th, 2020, that the requested variance for the additional 3.5 feet of encroachment did not raise significant planning or environmental concerns. However, the planning board did note that the property was located on a scenic road and that the proposed design and massing may be discussed during the site plan review being conducted concurrently with the ZBA review. The planning board has since concluded its site plan review on March 2nd, 2020, and granted site plan approval of the applicant conditioned on ZBA approval of this variance request. Public hearing. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held at Town Hall on February 19th, 2020. During the course of the public hearing, we received no comments from the public regarding this appeal. The public hearing was closed on February 19th, 2020. Site visit. On February 22nd, 2020, ZBA members Catherine Clark, Timothy Conopoli, David Tobias, and Timothy Allenbrook visited the applicant's property and surrounding neighborhood to observe site conditions, property characteristics, setting, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. No business or deliberations were conducted during the site visit. Findings of fact and conclusions of law. Balancing test. In our review of the variance sought, we have considered the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. We determined that the variance requested should be granted because there is minimal detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by the granting of this variance. Consideration of the 5 factors in balancing test. In our determination, we've considered the 5 factors required by 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning rule as follows. If the proposed marginal area variance, I just want to make sure you haven't gone to sleep. If the proposed marginal area variance of 3.9 feet into the front setback is granted, will it cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties? We find the answer to this question is no. Given that the existing structure already encroaches within the front yard setback by 60.8 feet, we do not find that the additional encroachment will cause an undesirable change to the neighborhood. Furthermore, we have noted the planning board's initial comment to this board regarding the design of the proposed addition and its potential of concern due to its design and massing. We refer to the planning board's site plan review and its subsequent approval of the design. We therefore do not find that this variance, if granted, will cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties. B, can the benefit sought by the appellant be achieved by some method feasible for the appellant to pursue other than an area variance? We find the answer to this question is no, given the limited acreage of the lot and the existing structure already within the setback. Is the requested area variance substantial? We find the answer to this question is no, given the limited additional variance being proposed, adding only 3.5 feet from the current structure. Will the proposed variance have an adverse, D, will the proposed variance have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find the answer to this question is no, given that there will be no change in the bedroom count or concomitant sewage treatment needs. Is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to this question is yes, given the property was likely acquired under existing zoning ordinances. The applicant should have been aware of local restrictions on expansion of improvements on site. Minimum variance requested. In addition to our review of the 5 factors and balancing test, we must also determine if this requested variance is the minimum variance necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested by the applicant. You find the answer to this question is yes, given items A, B, C, and D as described above. Now, therefore, be it resolved, based on all the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1. The ZBA hereby grants the area variance requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit of the applicant outweighs the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. The granting of this variance shall also be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application in full compliance with Article 14, fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. These variances shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. The granting of this variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and or approvals. The proposed structure must be constructed in conformity with the application and plans submitted. The area variance shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of this resolution. The end.
The end. Any comments, concerns? I thought it was a pretty simple, request application, and I think it's certainly the right reason, or the right result, excuse me, and well written. Thank you, Tim.
Well, I have a lot of help from all of the rest.
All right. Do you want to make a motion to, Tim, you want to make a motion that we adopt your resolution?
You go ahead and do it.
Okay, I make a motion that we adopt the resolution as read by Tim. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. And
Roll call.
roll call. Your turn.
All right. Scott Bergen,
Yes.
Catherine Clark,
Yes.
Tim E.
Yes.
Tim. Dave,
Yes.
yes. And Tim Allenbrook.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Congratulations, everybody. We made it through.
Did it.
Very well done.
John, you're muted.
In better time than I anticipated.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, I think you did a great job, Scott. Thank you.
Well, I had a lot of help from you guys, and it really is not that hard, although there's nothing like a good public hearing in a town hall with neighbors at applicants' throats. This is a little sterile compared to that, but no, I thought it ran pretty well, and everybody, I'm glad with the way it works. So, Fred, thank you very much for all your help.
Yes, thank you, Fred.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I'll let the folks know. I have 2 site inspections I have to do, so I'll try to set those up and talk to you folks about coming out with me on those 2. And does anybody have anything else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
One thing, Scott, is it possible to text for site visits?
Sure.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't look at my mail every single day. So if you were to text me to go do a site visit, that would be great.
Not a problem.
I was
Definitely text you.
Yeah, I don't think I have everybody's cell number. I know I have Tim's, Tim E, but I'm not sure I have everybody else's. So maybe we could just circulate a list so it'd make it easier to text.
I'm sure Chris knows how to get a hold of everybody.
Yeah.
Yes,
And you can send a contact list for everybody. So we
I will. And just review it. Right.
Actually, that's a good idea. You know what? We should review all of our contact information just to make sure it's still accurate.
Yeah. I would, I know you all know this already, but I just, with the text, if you can keep the subject matter to logistics, that would be great. And, not be discussing substantive board business.
Right.
Yes.
Understood.
Thank
Very
you.
prudent. All right. Good night, all. Thanks again.
Did you get a meeting? Did
Everybody.
you get a motion to adjourn?
Oh, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh.
Second.
All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Stay on.